The next cooking method I'd like to show you for Brussels sprouts is by roasting them, which is one of the most popular ways of preparing Brussels sprouts. So typically, most recipes you'll find for roasting Brussels sprouts on the internet or in recipe books follow a pretty similar method. And so that involves usually cutting them in half, tossing them with a little bit of oil until they're nice and coated, and then putting them cut side down on a baking sheet and then roasting them in a fairly hot oven, somewhere around 425, 450, just until the cut side starts to develop some browning and caramelization, and they're nice and cooked through. So that usually takes around 15 to 20 minutes or so. And it's a pretty foolproof method. So give that a try at home. It works pretty well. But I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I wanted to start that process actually on the stovetop. So I'm going to start the browning step on the stovetop. So I'm going to use a cast iron pan today, which is a oven-proof pan, of course. If you don't have one of those, then you can always use something else like stainless steel works well as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put them face down again in my cast iron pan. So you want them cut side down. I'm just working with a small amount today, but you can use a larger pan if you are making more, of course. And you don't want to move them. So I'm just going to let them sit in the pan undisturbed for just until they start to develop that caramelization on the cut side. They'll develop a little bit of a crust. So that should take somewhere around 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, so once they've been searing for a few minutes, they should develop that nice brown crust. I will try and pick one up here without dropping it so I can show you the bottom side there. So once that has developed, then I'm going to turn the heat off. And now I'm just going to transfer these to the oven. So I'm going to keep it still cut side down, undisturbed, and my oven is set at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I'm just going to cook these now in the oven just until they are nice and tender, but not overcooked. So we're going to have to check on them a little bit, but they should only take probably 5 to 7 minutes or so. We'll check it and see how it's going. So that the gentle heat of the oven, it is at 400, so kind of semi-hot, but the gentle heat of the oven promotes that caramelization and the sweetness to come through in the Brussels sprouts. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get a bit of that crust developing on the stovetop, and then the gentle heat of the oven kind of continues that caramelization process, but a little bit more gently. I just checked on the Brussels sprouts and they're just perfectly tender. So that was about 5 minutes in total. So really, really quick start to finish. So I'm going to pull them out of the oven now and just do one last finishing step, which is also super quick to do. So those look nice and tender. And always remember to use an oven mitt when you're doing this so you don't burn yourself. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip these guys over gently. Oh, and they look lovely, nice and caramelized on the bottom there. So it doesn't have to be perfect here, but I'm just going to flip those over. And then the last step involves just adding a bit of balsamic vinegar, which adds a really nice flavor. Balsamic vinegar, of course, has some acidity because it's vinegar, but it also has a nice, well-rounded sort of sweetness to it as well, and it just complements the Brussels sprout flavor really, really well. And you'll see it in a lot of Brussels sprout recipes because it just goes so well. So I have a couple tablespoons here, and it's going to sizzle and sort of deglaze the pan a little bit. I'm just going to stir that around a little bit. And it's actually mostly going to evaporate, which is what you want. You don't want a ton here. You just want it to deglaze the pan. You want it to sizzle a little bit, and it'll absorb into those Brussels sprouts really, really nicely. And that's exactly what you want. It almost creates a bit of a syrup sort of consistency. So that's done, and then really the only thing left to do is just season it with salt and pepper if you so choose. You don't even have to if you don't want to, but I always think that it helps. and you're done. So start to finish, that was about 10 to 12 minutes total. So really, really quick to do, quick and easy, really flavorful, and kind of goes another step further than just plain cooking them on their own, which you can do and they will still taste great. And if you're new to cooking Brussels sprouts, that might be a good place to start. But this is a great way to elevate it. So I'll hold it up. Hopefully you can see. Bad lighting in here, but you can kind of see that it's nice and caramelized there, nice and browned, but not burnt. And it has absorbed some of that balsamic vinegar. So give that one a try at home as well and enjoy.